mainly sort of illegal warehouse parties. That's how the scene sort of started. It started off very underground.
That was about the time of the acid house?
Yeah, it started off with the acid house thing. All the sort of Detroit techno started coming over. There's a lot of illegal parties set up. And it was really a major buzz at that time. It was just simply an empty room, big sound system and a DJ, and that was the buzz.
When house music really started to kick in, I guess, around about that time?
Yeah, 88, 89, and then the clubs really started booming and have been doing ever since then.
Right. So what was your first ever paid gig? Mine was a wedding.
Was it?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I used to do this really awful club in a place called Blackpool in the northwest of England on a Wednesday night, which I used to do sort of a 5-hour stint, and I get like £10 for that at the end of the night and a couple of free drinks, and that was about it really.
Why was it so bad? Playing things like the Rednecks?
Yeah, just having to play for such a long time as well, and it was like
5 hours?
Yeah.
Jeez.
And there was like sort of 5 or 10 people in there.
That's the strange thing about the difference between here and England is that, you know, in a club here, most DJs, there's only one on for the night. They're expected to play from like 10 till 5 in the morning. And whereas, of course, in the UK, it's more common just to have a 2-hour guest set, isn't it?
That's it, and you'll get paid ridiculous money as well for doing no time at all.
Do you yourself find a 2-hour set too restrictive in what you have to play? I mean, it must be over before you started. Well, from coming from one who's
I
7 hours
suppose so. I'd rather sort of play 2.5, 3 hours. I think over 3 hours you can get a good idea of what the DJ is trying to
But
do.
I guess they try and load the bill up with as many DJs as possible, just for.
That's right. Yeah, in England it really is. It's sort of the names that pull them in. I mean, there's various sort of nights that have the resident DJs, and they're quite successful. But sort of the one-off gigs, they really do need guest DJs to pull the crowds in, which is a shame really, because it's usually the resident DJs that are the best of the DJs.
That's right. That keep the people there. That's what you hear all the time. So was DJing something you'd always wanted to do, or you just sort of fell into it?
Just going out, just fell into it really. Just going out in the clubs in 88, 89. I had a real passion for the music. I've always bought records, and one of my friends bought some decks, and I got into it like that really. I was sort of better than him, and I used them all the time. Yeah. I ended up buying them off him, and I just got into it that way.
That's about how I started as well. Just sort of paid for the record collection.
Yeah. I had a sort of 9 to 5 job for like 6 months, and like got £80 a week, and just spent all the money on records and did it that way.
When was your first, what you would think your first really good gig on the Manchester scene then, or?
In Manchester, probably the Hacienda where I started in about 91, 92. Right. And that was really good. As soon as I got that, that was just such a great buzz, because it's something I've always wanted to do, and it was like my favourite club. And the atmosphere in there is amazing. I can play what I want.
It's a huge place, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It holds about 2,000.
Right, that's excellent. I mean, I heard maybe a year ago now there was a bit of trouble there for a while with violence and drug problems and that.
Yeah, there was, and it shut down for a period of 5 or 6 months. But that's all been ironed out now, and there's no problems there at all.
So did it reopen with the same management, or? Yeah,
it's the same management. They changed the door staff. We've got a really good firm on there now, so it's run really well actually.
Right. Yeah. What sort of musical styles do you play in your set then? To put labels on things, people hate putting labels on it. New Energy or...
No, not New Energy.
Terrible terms. Oh God, who invented progressive house and New Energy? Shoot them.
Yeah, I play a lot of vocal stuff in Manchester. And then when I'm doing other gigs I play pretty hard, like hard house.
Yeah. Any favourite labels?
All the British labels, Cleveland City, and then the New York label, Strictly Rhythm. Right. And a lot of stuff that's coming out of New York as well. A lot of the new underground labels I really like. Yeah. Chicago's a new label just set up in Chicago.
So what were you playing when you first started off back in 88 then? Because there was no Strictly Rhythm back then?
No, not really. I was playing pretty fast in 88, yeah. Like a sort of Euro energy kind of vibe. Yep.
Where are you playing currently at home then? Still the Hacienda?
Yeah, the Hacienda, and I've got a regular gig on a Friday in Cheshire, which I'm starting that when I get back in 2 weeks.
Is that far from Manchester?
That's, no,
it's about geographically ignorant?
20-30 miles outside Manchester. Right. And then I do a place called Exit in Blackpool as well, which is a really successful night.
20 or 30 miles here is like a overnight hike, but I mean you hear about the kilometres travelled by DJs over there. It's just phenomenal. One set here and then 200 k's away, then doing another one.
That's all in one night as well. I mean, a lot of the big name DJs are doing sort of like 3 or 4 gigs a night, and they're all getting sort of £600, £700, £800 for doing them.
Oh, to be paid that much?
Yeah.
Have you ever been influenced by any other DJs internationally, or anyone you could name as a standout?
Well, Graham Park, I suppose, at the Hacienda. I mean, he was the first DJ who I used to really go and watch religiously and really sort of get into what he was playing. And he's like real amazing DJ. His mixing talents are, he's the best really, I'd say, in England.
Right.
And then I've heard the American DJs who've played over
Yep.
in England, David Morales, Roger Sanchez, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So what's the favourite club that you would have been to? Not necessarily just played at, but
There's a place in the Midlands called Hard Times, which
Yep.
is set up in a church, and that's a really, really good club. They have a lot of underground DJs there from America, like
Yep.
one-offs, and yeah, the atmosphere there is
and they're
really
commanding
good.
huge fees, aren't they, when Morales comes over?
Yeah,
or,
they're getting like £2,000, £3,000 a gig.
There you go, save your money. Let's go and buy records now. Get a couple of your mum's belt drive at home, set it up in the lounge, and you'll be making $2,000. Well, no, you won't actually. You've got to slog it out for years before you can get to that stage, I suppose.
That's it, yeah. Lots
And
of
in fact,
practice.
some people think of DJs as sort of non-smiling, egotistical, moody.
No, I'm
sods.
smiling at her.
Eh?
I'm smiling.
You're smiling, but what when you're playing? I mean, some DJs when they're playing, they're like,
Yeah, no, I suppose I do have to concentrate a lot on what I'm doing. I mean, you get people like Durham and Healy who just sort of dance about and they're dancing all over the stage and all that kind of thing, but I can't
wave
do
a
that.
scarf in the air. And,
Yeah, I'd rather just concentrate and get into it and
Yeah.
be appreciated for my mixing talents and my choice of records.
Yep. And of course, the criminal justice bill was passed through last year.
Yeah, but that's not caused too many problems really. I mean, everyone still goes out on parties at the weekend.
Do you think it helped the club scene by taking all those people out of fields and tents and putting them back into the clubs, or was it a totally different crowd
Yeah, I
altogether?
suppose so, because in some ways the police are more lenient with the clubs, but still, I mean, there's still a lot of illegal parties go off at the weekends.
Right.
I mean, not like in warehouses and fields, but there are, smaller parties still going on.
So will the justice bill mean the end of the huge, the illegal, the huge
The
raves and
raves.
the big dance, outdoor?
No, because there are a lot of. Oops, mic going off. There are a lot of raves still going off, but I mean they're not illegal anymore. There's
Right.
the big organised raves, and they are well organised, sort of
Mm.
10,000-15,000 people.
Yep. Of course, the Box is the first gig on the Amnesia tour, and it's happening
Yeah,
tomorrow
should be
night.
good, tomorrow night.
Local DJs, as well as DJ Dick Johnson, here to my right, playing his first set here in NZ in Auckland. And you'll see the flyers around on the streets tomorrow if you get into any clothing or record store who's worth its salt. And there's no advance tickets, you just got to start queuing at the door because that's the best way to create the atmos. Thanks so much for coming along
Yeah,
to the show.
cheers, mate.
Yeah, and I'll be there tomorrow night, propping up the bar. So I hope to see you at Amnesia. Up next, we've got some M People and Open Your Heart.